We're now going to talk about Margaret Thatcher and her way to become the Prime Minister. Margaret Hilda Thatcher was born 13 October 1925 and died 8th of April 2013 as an 87-year-old lady. She was born in Grantham in Lincolnshire in England. Margaret was a British politician who was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990 and the leader of the Conservative Party from 1975 to 1990. Margaret is the only one that has ever been a female Prime Minister in the United Kingdom. And when Margaret was younger, she worked at a grocery store, which came out as a very negative thing, and she was made fun of. But then, a few years later, she got the opportunity to start on Oxford, and that is when it all started.
After Margaret Thatcher won her first election in 1979, the first tough challenge had to be solved. Britain's economy was on a collision course and something had to be done. The first years with Thatcher as Prime Minister was characterized by high unemployment and the economy was still heading the wrong direction. But Margaret Thatcher turned the negative trends and got Great Britain back on track. Both this and the Falkland Wars was two of the main reasons for why Margaret Thatcher won a solid victory in the 1983 election in Great Britain. This meant that Thatcher could lead Britain for 4 more years. Margaret Thatcher was a strong leader and she showed that very early of her 11 years as Prime Minister, especially under the Falkland Wars. She was desperate after taking back the Falkland Islands from Argentina. There was absolutely nothing that could stop her. The Falkland Wars ended with a victory for Great Britain. This meant that Britain was overtaking the Falkland Islands. It was after she got re-elected in 1987, people in the United Kingdom really got unsatisfied with Thatcher's way of leading the country. She did not want to join the European Union, and after the government invented the community charge in Scotland, people was outrageous, and when persons inside their own party started asking questions about her way of leading the country, she decided to resign as a Prime Minister in 1990.
Margaret Thatcher reassignment. Margaret Thatcher resigned as Prime Minister when it was all clear that the party was no longer behind her. In the leadership ballot in 1990, her former colleague Michael Heseltine, who had resigned for her cabinet years earlier, ran against her for the party leadership. In the first ballot, she did not get in quite enough votes for her to win outright, and therefore they had to have a second ballot. At first, she said she would stand, but then all of her cabinet ministers told her that she would likely lose the next ballot, and the best way to keep Michael Heseltine from winning was to resign. It was obvious to her that she would lose, so she thought it was better for her to resign as party leader than lose to Michael Heseltine. When she resigned as party leader, she could not be Prime Minister either. As Celine told you, Margaret Thatcher died April 8, 2013, and the funeral was the 17th April the same year. It is now known that she had planned her funeral for over the last 10 years, and that she previously voted for a state funeral. Instead, with her and her family's agreement, she received a ceremonial funeral, included military honors, a guard of honor, and a church service at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Thatcher's body was cremated after the funeral, in accordance with her wishes. She had some strong wishes of which religious texts and hymns were going to be read in the funeral, and who were going to read them. Among them was her 19-year-old granddaughter, Amanda Margaret Thatcher. She was also planning which flowers the funeral were going to be decorated with, and which hymns were going to be played. Thatcher's family were going to pay for the cremation, the flowers, and the transport, and the state were going to fund the remainings. The total public spending on the funeral was £3.6 million. The sources I have used for my part of the presentation is BBC, Wikipedia, Aftenposten, and The Iron Lady.